What would you say is the difference you've seen, like in terms of the growth, of the industry, say LATAM, or say specifically Mexico versus, North America or even Europe or other places you guys are?
Well, Mexico is very concentrated in real estate. It's one of the founding growth powers for our economy. So you can see just residential construction in the main cities around you. You're in Guadalajara, Monterrey, Guadalajara, Ciudad de Mexico, the three main cities that just keep on growing, and there's a lot of investment. And even though you see, as a country, we are a developing country, there's a lot of money and a lot of investment in real estate, and that will continue to grow. I grew up in Monterrey, and when I was little, you could buy a house maybe for 1 or 2 million pesos. Right now, no way. You need at least 7 or 8. So it's continuing, and you see a lot of development. Well, especially in Monterrey, where it's really north to the US, there's a lot of tendencies as the city grows, very similar to the US, very similar to Texas.
So obviously, LATAM, Mexico, we understand it's a developing country, a lot more opportunity for bringing, nice solutions in. On the other side, what are some constraints you have faced when building a growing SaaS in Mexico? Like, you decided to move to Mexico City, obviously for a reason, but, from building it to compared to other cities, as, a lot of startup founders are now building remote companies. I think maybe it doesn't need to be in those hotspot cities for specifically talent and capital, right? You see that in Silicon Valley, you see that in New York. People are moving to wherever to build their company because it's no longer needed. Do you still agree with that? And what are the constraints you're seeing now?
Yeah, one of the biggest constraints I see with my little experience in venture capital is we don't have that same mentality yet as a Silicon Valley, where you can see the potential in a product, the potential in growth on users, and investors in the US maybe say, this is going to be a gold mine. Let's invest right away. And here in Mexico, I have revenue, I have users, and they say, no, how much is your revenue? How much is your costs? That you have to be a very profitable company. It's like, what? I'm a startup. I don't have to be profitable right now. I'm profitable, but I don't have to be. And there's just that thing of the old school mentality, the old school financial system, where it's too much risk for them right now. I think it's gonna evolve, but eventually I can see us growing to other countries and probably going to the US to try to meet some of investors.
So from the investor side, I agree with you, right? I've seen that here in Guadalajara, talking to some family offices or some folks who they actually got into tech and they invested, but yeah, you're right. They're looking for profitability. They don't understand the mindset of how, startups work. And then they'll go back, they'll invest a little, lose some money, or they don't know how to invest, what to look for in the founder. And then they go back to, real estate and more traditional. So the way of thinking is a lot more, old school. Maybe they don't understand it. And so I think it's just an educational thing, which is, a challenge a little bit with, older folks. What about
and it's inevitable. It depends on the growth, the mentality growth, and as we say here in Mexico, we're about 7 years behind the US. So just give it a couple of years, and it will grow into that.
Yeah, generally what you'll see is that kind of recycle as, some of the younger entrepreneurs who exit, have some of their capital, and then they'll reinvest into the ecosystem, like yourself trying to develop that in Mexico. What about constraints on talent? So have you seen anything, this being in Mexico City give you any advantage or disadvantage? And would you still, do it again in terms for hiring teams and talent?
I'm a very unusual CEO. I don't hire specifically on talent. I hire on personality and productivity, and a lot of people, a lot of our team is based on people that are trying to be better than their family, are trying to pay their tuition, are trying. I had a scholarship all my life, and I know the struggles of not having money and just trying to grind it out and looking for opportunities. Even if you don't have the diploma or you don't have the skills right now, you can develop them. So I try to look for that type of people that are willing to do anything to grow and learn and then position themselves to get more value and of course more income. Here in Mexico, there's an advantage that we have a lot of diversity, and you can see people from all over Mexico here trying to better themselves and better their opportunities. So yeah, we continually are looking for talent or people that want to grow, and if we see an opportunity, you can join our team. And well, of course, we have an internship of 3 months and everything like that to see if it works. But yeah, our team is right now about 20 people, and we plan to continue to grow it.
Very cool. And then you also, international solution provider. You decided, you could have focused only on Mexico, but you decided to go into other countries who have different, regulations, laws, tax rates, etc., different cultures. What have you seen in terms of like the process every time you launch into another city or country, building that SaaS solution for those, many different markets? What's the scope, or what are points that you look at to enter and get into those different countries?
Yeah, well, not only different countries. Here in Mexico, there's a great difference between a provincia, a small city, or a big city. There's a lot of difference between the property manager using the technology. So you see, for example, people that want something specific, like we want to print reports, we want to print financial statements. Like, what? Printing? You can use it on your app, and they don't understand yet that they don't have to print it out like the old times, And in other countries, for example, in Colombia, they are very used to, well, depending on the city, but in Bogota, we have a couple of projects there. They're very used to apps. They're very used to technology. And Rappi is from Colombia, and you can see that they are very willing to use and adapt a mobile phone, and maybe they want some kind of language that is expressed for the regional users, and that's very easy for us. You can register in Kiperfy and just select your country, and you have specific words and specific modules that you can use in your country. But the main goal of property management is the same. So you have the same solution. For example, one of our greatest boundaries in other countries are the charging with a credit card and paying your rent through a bank in another country. There's a regulation there, as you said, and you have to pay some taxes. But we solve it as the community grows. So when we start a new country, it depends on how many users, how many properties, and then I travel there and then do everything around it so we can charge and just keep it going.
So does your pricing change depending on every time you move to a different city, or do you have a flat kind of pricing model?
No, we have a flat rate. It's $5 for our premium version, $5 per unit. We call it a unit because it can be an office, it can be an apartment, a house, it can be any type of building.
Got it. And in terms of your product roadmap, can you speak a little bit, what does, some other product solutions or other integrations that you're looking to implement in the next year? Because I know you mentioned you were looking to raise, before the pandemic. Well, what are you kind of, from your perspective, what's on your pitch deck that you're looking to raise money for and build out?
Oh yeah, there are a lot of opportunities around our solution. I went into when the pandemic started, like heavily, when everything started to shut down. I tried to channel myself into the great minds of the last pandemic that they created. Like Isaac Newton created the formulas for physics in a pandemic, and it was like, I have all this time, I can get myself into one thing I want to study, and I came up with 7 new revenue streams around Kiperfy, and all of them could be profitable in one time. Even analytics around our users, commercial services around our users. There are a lot of opportunities, but everything takes time, everything takes money. So it depends on how much capital we want. I also created a pitch deck, and I have more or less about $1.5 million where we would be looking in the next year.
Okay. So that's for Kiperfy. I want to talk about, more generally. If you were, say, starting over again today, and you're looking to get into this real estate space, maybe in LATAM or not, what are some maybe other opportunities in the real estate industry that you see for a SaaS solution, and how SaaS solution that can also be improved, and maybe a founder wants to tackle who's listening in today?
Oof, I think there are a lot. The whole rent industry around Airbnb, around renting for a minimum space or a minimum time or a visit, it's so much opportunity here in Mexico. You can create a service around it very easily, I think. Another one around construction, around PropTech. Every process, even financial control around the building process, it's very antiquated. It's almost written by hand, and you don't believe it living in 2021 that constructions, like millions of dollars constructions, they still use these methods. So there's a lot of opportunity around properties, around PropTech, and not even in Mexico, all Latin America. For example, I was in Peru, and everybody in Peru said they wanted to come to Mexico. It's like Mexico is the greatest, is the best technology. I was like, what? We look at the US as being one of the leaders, but everybody down our country wants to come to Mexico. So there's a lot of opportunity, and I think it's only gonna get faster, smaller. There's always gonna be a new solution. That's not gonna stop.